Here's something that might surprise you. Modern passenger jets often take off using less than full power, and it actually makes them safer and more efficient in certain conditions.
Well, that seems counterintuitive. Most people would assume you'd want maximum power for something as critical as getting a massive aircraft off the ground.
You know, it's like having a sports car with 500 horsepower. You don't need to use all that power every time you drive to the grocery store. Airlines have developed two fascinating methods called flexible takeoffs and derated takeoffs that optimize engine power for different situations.
Hmm. So how exactly do they determine the right amount of power to use?
Well, for flexible takeoffs, they use this clever system that takes advantage of how jet engines naturally produce less thrust in hot weather. They basically trick the engines into thinking it's hotter than it actually is by calculating something called a flex temperature.
That's fascinating. So they're essentially creating a virtual hot day to reduce engine power in a controlled way.
Exactly right. And here's where it gets really interesting. They calculate the exact temperature that would naturally limit the aircraft to the thrust level they want. But there are strict rules. You can't set the flex temperature lower than the actual outside temperature, and you definitely can't use this technique on contaminated runways.
You know what I'm wondering? How do airlines make sure their engines stay healthy when they're regularly using reduced power?
That's a great question. Airlines either perform full power takeoffs periodically to check engine performance, or they maintain sophisticated monitoring programs that track engine parameters. It's like having a continuous health monitoring system that can detect the slightest change in performance.
So tell me about this other method, the derated takeoff. How is that different?
Oh, this is where things get really interesting. While flex takeoffs are mainly about preserving engine life, derated takeoffs can actually improve takeoff performance in specific situations, particularly on shorter runways. It's all about something called VMCG, the minimum control speed on the ground.
Well, that seems, hold on, wouldn't using less power make it harder to take off from a short runway?
You'd think so, right? But here's the brilliant part. By reducing thrust, you also lower the minimum control speeds. This means pilots can use a lower decision speed, V1, which actually results in shorter acceleration and stopping distances. It's particularly useful when takeoff weight is limited by VMCG considerations.
The engineering behind these procedures must be incredibly complex.
It really is. And get this, while D-rated takeoffs can help with VMCG limitations, they wouldn't help if the limitation is VMCA, minimum control speed in the air. The reduced thrust would actually hurt performance because the negative effect on climb gradient outweighs any benefits.
So how do pilots manage all these calculations and decisions?
Modern aircraft have sophisticated flight computers that handle the complex math. Pilots input various parameters like runway length, weather conditions, and aircraft weight, and the computer determines the optimal configuration. But here's a crucial point. You can never combine flex and derated takeoffs. It's always one or the other.
Let me see if I understand the key differences. Flex takeoffs are about engine preservation and can only be used on dry or wet runways, while derated takeoffs can improve performance and work on any runway condition.
That's right. And there's another important distinction. With flex takeoffs, pilots can switch to full power anytime they need to, but with derating, they have to wait until reaching specific speeds. The only exception is if they encounter unexpected wind shear. Then safety takes priority and they can use whatever power they need.
The impact on airline operations must be significant.
Oh, absolutely. These procedures save millions in maintenance costs and reduce environmental impact through lower fuel burn. But what's really remarkable is how they've managed to achieve these efficiency gains while maintaining or even improving safety margins.
So next time we're on a flight, we might be experiencing one of these reduced power takeoffs without even realizing it.
Exactly, and isn't that amazing? All this complex engineering and careful calculation working together seamlessly, while most passengers are just wondering if they remembered to pack their toothbrush. It's a perfect example of how modern aviation has evolved to be smarter, not just more powerful.